Good morning, Ginger, or evening. Thank you. Is it anybody's afternoon? I know it's many of you's evening. Good evening, Wendy. Oops, forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. There we go. Hi, Susan. Welcome, Argy. In Canada, is it your first time? Hello, J.E. Ooh, Jupiter outside your window. How do you know that it's Jupiter? You just know what it looks like in the sky, or are you tracking it? I know Jupiter is important at this time. So, yeah, of course. So you were looking at the sky and saw something and put the app up on the sky and figured out it was Jupiter. When is the Jupiter happening? The thing in the sky? Can you refresh me on that? Hi, Tony. Good night. Good evening. Excuse me. So, welcome. Okay, thank you. April 20th, conjunction of Uranus and Jupiter. And I know for some of you, it's a big thing, hitting stuff in your chart. I want to look and see where it is for me. I don't know. And April 20th is my sister's birthday, so maybe I'll check her chart as well. Hi, Lady Peacock. Excuse me. It's a beautiful morning in Bali. Every day is a beautiful day to wake up in Bali. And also to be able to wake up anywhere and feel like you're waking up in paradise is the ultimate journey. I was listening to Michael Singer this morning. Does anybody not know who Michael Singer is? Oh, and Argy, glad to see you back. I didn't recognize your name, so glad you're here. I was listening to a Michael Singer on YouTube, and there was a clip that was so compelling. I recorded it. I'm going to turn it into a reel and put on my social media because it's so amazing. So I want to play it for y'all. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds. I just feel called to do that. So, and also what we're going to do today is continue our amazing and wonderful meditative book listening, study, immersion of this amazing book, Conversations with God. So, I am going to play this. So, pause and take this in. And also follow me, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Insight Timer. I'm creating a reel that I'm going to post. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Lady Peacock. All right, here we go.
There is no condition of the outside that will have you be okay inside. If you haven't caught that one on yet, you haven't opened your eyes. Anytime you get what you think you want, it changes. What changes? Both what you want and the thing. So it doesn't matter. If it stays the way you wanted it, you don't want it no more. If you change, then it's not what you want. It just doesn't stay that way. Anytime you get what you want something else. It has to be that way. Want to know why? Because you're not okay. You have come up with conditions that you think will make it better. You think will make it okay. They won't. Getting a car is not going to fix your broken heart. Eating ain't going to do it either. And they say shopping works well for depression. Not really. Okay, I mean, have your hair done or buy a new suit or something. You go on a vacation. It's not going to do it. Temporarily, it distracts you from your problem. That's all it can do, is distract you from your problem and make your problem go away. It's coming back. Don't worry about it. All right? So net is, you can't solve an inner problem outside, but you're trying. And the very fact that you have going on inside what it is that's going to be needed and what's going to fix you is sheer ignorance. And then if you get it, for a moment, it's like, whoa, wow, that's neat, right? And then because it didn't really fix the problem, it just distracted you, the moment you tune back and you find the problem still there, you will have to come up with something else to solve it, because this didn't solve it. I experimented once. I went to people, I said, I want a list of what it is that you think will make you happy. And not a single person listed the things they already have. Because you already know they don't make you happy. You already got those. Been there, done there, tried that. It don't work. So if you really want to be happy, list the things that will make you really happy. You're always listing stuff you don't have. So once you get it and you realize it didn't do it, you'll pick something else.
I had to play that like 3 or 4 or 5 times to let it sink in. But it was so simple and so profound. He says, you know, you want something. When you get it, you might have a moment or a period of satisfaction, but then you want something else. He says it better. But yeah, that little clip is gold. So stay tuned. I'm going to create a reel on that and post it on Facebook and Instagram and my YouTube shorts as well. So follow me on all those places if you'd like. If you care to give a donation, we've talked about the donations here recently in Insight Timer. If you want 100% of the donations to go to the teacher, donate outside of the live stream. If you don't have energy around that, and then Apple gets 30% when you donate inside the live stream. Actually, somebody said yesterday, maybe now Apple takes 30% of all. I don't know. I'm not giving energy to it aside from just letting you know if you have a preference. And all donations are welcome and appreciated. So, hi Duchess, good evening. I'm also almost finished with a new premium meditation. I'm going to upload to my premium tracks, and hopefully it will be approved immediately, although with the premium tracks, Insight Timer is quite strict, so it was professionally recorded. Hopefully it's good enough for them to approve. I also already have one meditation in my premium tracks, the Comprehensive Abundance Prayer for Ancestral Clearing. It's amazing. Listen to that if you have premium. I also have many free meditations as well. If you follow me here, you'll get notified of all of these juicy goodnesses along with the live events. And I also have a group in Insight Timer here, Natalie's Healing Circle, with I think it already has 600 members. So, join in there. Great. So we're going to dive back into conversations with God. The invitation for you here is to have this be a mindful meditation time for you. That you be solely focused on this space and the transmission. If it's me, if it's the book, and that you not be divided in your attention, which is so common these days. So it's really powerful for you if you discipline yourself in the mind to be present fully with this material for yourself, and to take this in, because it's very deep, as you all know if you've heard it before. All the replays for these past since I've been recording and going live on YouTube, the replays are mostly all available on my channel. There's playlists. So if you want to go back, you can. Also, don't worry if you miss something or you're joining in and you're brand new, like just follow the flow. Hi, Deb, and hi, Deborah. So, but yes, the way this works, if you are new, is I'm going to play an audio of the Conversations with God book, and we're about 3 hours into an 8-hour recording. If you want the recording, send me a private message, however you choose, whatever platform. I will get it to you. And yeah, I will also channel Reiki as we are taking in the information. I will also, I just pause it when I feel led to pause and discuss. Sometimes I feel led to rewind and play again because the material is very deep. Is there anybody that's brand new to Conversations with God, this book or the series, the teachings? Does anybody not know anything about it? If you are courageous to speak up. Just because I want to, share a bit about it. Hi, Michelle. So you think you might know what it is, or you think you're new? Deb hasn't read it. So is there anybody who has not read it, is brand new, and has not heard me, hasn't been in the live streams, like it's like you've never heard any of this before, what we're about to dive into? Okay. Going once, going twice. Hi, Paul. Michelle, new. Yay. Okay. Great. I got this one in India, and it was actually, it was gifted to me when I was in India recently. Y'all that follow me know. And my good friend that we stayed with, he's very kind and generous. And we went to the mall and went in the bookstore, and he's like, buy anything, get any book you want. And I don't know if I was thinking of this exact book, but I was thinking of this one or maybe one other, spiritual masterpiece. And here this was. So I created getting this book as a gift in India. So it's special to me. So if you are brand new, and thank you for speaking up, because likely you're not the only one. This book was written out as a conversation with God by a man in the early 90s who was at a very low point in his life. He was like hitting a bottom in all areas, financially, like with his family. His health was bad. And so the book started because he was a writer already, I think, and he just started writing a letter to God, and just was like, why are you, why aren't you there for me? Or, some sort of angry letter to God. And what he says is God wrote back, God responded. The pen just started writing an answer to his angry letter, and I think he asked a question to God. And so that's how this whole book and this whole dialogue unfolded. So if I'm not here to sell or convince anyone of believing in this material. I simply present it. You get to make your own choice. You might like some of it, you might hate some of it. For me personally, it is the truth with a capital T. That's why I'm here sharing this. It's deep, it's profound, it's confronting. I know many of you have been in here and it's brought up some really confronting ideas. So my invitation to you is, if you feel any certain way about what you're hearing, is to use that that's an invitation for you to, instead of reacting and closing off, that you notice, ooh, wow, I have energy around what was just said. And to not close your mind to what's being said, but be curious and use it as an introspection to be like, wow, okay, this is confronting, this is triggering my stuff or activating opinions and things. This is difficult to hear. And just being with that and still keeping an open mind, because even just that process is very powerful, to not just instantly close. So it's powerful spiritual practice. And you may come to the same conclusion that you're like, nah, I don't believe that, I ain't buying it. But before you just jump to that, I invite you to have a mindful, observing, witnessing inquiry, and be more curious about what's happening in here than judging what you hear. So you'll know if this comes up. Trust me. So we've got some comments that came in. Hi, Natalie. Welcome. Is it your first time here? Interesting that there was a teacher on a live advocating vulgarity in psychedelics. So I do cuss sometimes. I don't advocate it, but I also don't censor myself. So isn't it interesting that, you could even use this, like what I just said, as a practice for you. Oh, this person on the live was saying these things and being this way, and there's energy about it in here. You can work with yourself around that. So that's a great invitation. Deb, yeah, and Paul, the book. So actually there's like 9 books that the author, Neale Donald Walsch, has written. This is the original book 1. In the first original series, there's 3. There was a 4th written years later, and then there's been more. So, but it all starts with this one. Hi, Tiffany. Wow. I actually am so glad you're here and so glad you said hello, because I've been thinking about you. You've crossed my mind, and I know you've been traveling. So, yeah, glad you are here and that you said hello. So, hola, Mark. Anybody else that's coming in? We're about to jump in to this meditative book listening of Conversations with God. And we'll go ahead and start. So, let me pull it up. Hi, Dana. So yeah, the first one was I don't know when it was written, but it was published in 95. So 30 years old next year. Wow. Oh my gosh, I just realized I graduated high school 30 years ago. Whoa, okay. Personal moment. That's kind of crazy. I see you, Tiffany. Okay. All right. So, and as I said, if you missed this before, I will be channeling Reiki if you choose to receive it. And as I said, I'm going to just go with the flow on how long we play, the content, because this content is very deep. So let's dive in.
How does God talk? And to whom?
This is the root of every problem you experience in your life. For you don't consider yourself worthy enough to be spoken to by God. Good heavens, how can you ever expect to hear my voice if you don't imagine yourself to be deserving enough to even be spoken to?
I tell you this, I am performing a miracle right now. For not only am I speaking to you, but to every person who is listening to these words. To each of them am I now speaking. I know who every one of them is. I know now who will find their way to these words. And I know that, just as with all my other communications, some will be able to hear, and some will be able to only listen, but will hear nothing.
Okay, I've got to stop that there because it's too relevant to not. So, and if you are new to hearing this, there's 3 voices. So what you just heard, there was the question, how do I know you're speaking to me? That's the author, Neale Donald Walsch, and that's him actually speaking and being his own part in this audio. So it's a conversation. So he plays himself, and there's 2 God voices. So right there, it might be a little confusing because it started with the woman. So it's got a female and male God voice. So it started with a female and then flipped to the male. So just so you know, the God voice goes back and forth intermittently between female and male, 2 specific voices. So what it said is that, God's performing a miracle right now, that, God is speaking as this, the author was hearing and writing these words. But he also said God knows everyone who is going to hear the words, like, outside of that moment. So that would mean even here and now in this moment, God knew that you would also be hearing that. So that's really powerful if you choose to take that on as possibly true. It's really beautiful. So let's see what's next.
I have 100 questions, 1,000, 1,000,000. And the problem is I sometimes don't know where to begin.
To start somewhere. Go ahead, right now.
When will my life finally take off? What does it take to get it together and achieve even a modicum of success? Can the struggle ever end?
Good. Now we're getting to it. Don't apologize for these questions. These are the questions men and women have been asking for hundreds of years. The questions were so silly they wouldn't be asked over and over again by each succeeding generation. So let's go to question 1. I've established laws in the universe that make it possible for you to create exactly what you choose. These laws cannot be violated, nor can they be ignored. You are following these laws right now, even as you listen to this. You cannot not follow the law, for these are the way things work. You cannot step aside from this. You cannot operate outside of it. Every minute of your life, you have been operating inside of it, and everything you have ever experienced, you have thusly created. You are in a partnership with God. We share an eternal covenant. My promise to you is to always give you what you ask. Your promise is to ask, to understand the process of the asking and the answering. I've already explained this process to you once. I'll do so again so that you clearly understand it. You are a threefold being. You consist of body, mind, and spirit. You could also call these the physical, the non-physical, and the metaphysical. This is the Holy Trinity, and it has been called by many names. That which you are, I am. I am manifested as three in one. Some of you theologians have called this Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The psychiatrists have recognized this triumvirate and called it conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Your philosophers have called it the id, the ego, and the superego. Science calls this energy, matter, and antimatter. Poets speak of mind, heart, and soul. New Age thinkers refer to body, mind, and spirit. Your time is divided into past, present, and future. Could this not be the same as subconscious, conscious, and superconscious? Space is likewise divided into three, here, there, and the space between. It is defining and describing this space between that becomes difficult, elusive. The moment you begin defining or describing, the space you describe becomes here or there. Yet we know this space between exists. It is what holds here and there in place, just as the eternal now holds before and after in place. These three aspects of you are actually three energies. You might call them thought, word, and action. All three put together produce a result, which in your language and understanding is called feeling or experience. Your soul, subconscious, id, spirit, past, is the sum total of every feeling you've ever had, created. Your awareness of some of these is called your memory. When you have a memory, you are said to remember. That is, to put back together, to reassemble the parts. When you reassemble all of the parts of you, you will have remembered who you really are. The process of creation starts with thought, an idea, conception, visualization. Everything you see was once someone's idea. Nothing exists in your world that did not first exist as pure thought. This is true of the universe as well. Thought is the first level of creation. Next comes the word. Everything you say is a thought expressed. It is creative and sends forth creative energy into the universe. Words are more dynamic, thus some might say more creative than thought, because words are a different level of vibration from thought. They disrupt, change, alter, affect the universe with greater impact. Words are the second level of creation. Next comes action. Actions are words moving. Words are thoughts expressed. Thoughts are ideas formed. Ideas are energies come together. Energies are forces released. Forces are elements existent. Elements are particles of God, portions of all, the stuff of everything. The beginning is God. The end is action. Action is God creating or God experienced. Your thought about yourself is that you are not good enough, not wondrous enough, not sinless enough to be a part of God, in partnership with God. You have denied for so long who you are that you've forgotten who you are. This has not occurred by coincidence. This is not happenstance. It is all part of the divine plan. For you could not claim, create, experience who you are if you already were it. It was necessary first for you to release, deny, forget your connection to me in order to fully experience it by fully creating it, by calling it forth. For your grandest wish, and my grandest desire, was for you to experience yourself as the part of me you are. You are therefore in the process of experiencing yourself by creating yourself anew in every single moment, as am I, through you. Do you see the partnership? Do you grasp its implications? It is a holy collaboration, truly, a holy communion. Life will take off for you then, when you choose for it to. You have not so chosen as yet. You have procrastinated, prolonged, protracted, protested. Now it's time that you promulgated and produced what you have been promised. To do this, you must believe the promise and live it. You must live the promise of God. The promise of God is that you are his son. Her offspring, its likeness, is equal.
All right, truth bombs dropping all around. Hi, Nancy and Jamie. So, did y'all catch that? What did y'all catch of that? Also, trust that you will retain what you're meant to at this moment. As I've said before, for me, I've listened to this many, many times. So it's not brand new. And also, it's my job as a life coach to listen. So I have a bit of skill with that, to be able to listen and retain and reflect. So I do my best to do that, and also, yeah, it's deep stuff. So welcome, Amy. I guess you weren't meant to hear it. And also the replay is available. So what it talked about in the beginning was this idea of threes. And I did mean to say, for those of you that are brand new to this is not religious. This is not Christian. It's outside of that. So although you might hear the word God and you might hear talk of Father, Son, Holy Spirit, or Jesus, or other religions, this is not a religious it's not religious information. So God talked about the idea of 3 in 1, and then gave all these different examples of how that shows up. Id, ego, superego, conscious, subconscious, superconscious, body, mind, spirit, heart, mind, soul, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, past, present, future, here, there, and the space in between. And then talked about thought, word, and action. And there was a lot in that. There was some nuggets, like, yeah, I'm not being able to articulate it, but yeah, I'm just gonna not even try. Trust that nugget will come back. Hi, Louise. So the author started out asking, why isn't my life a success? Why have I struggled? Why am I stuck? How many of you remember that from the beginning and could relate to that? So God is setting up the stage to share why his life wasn't a success, and then what he can do about it. So that's kind of an overview of what that passage was about. Yeah, and it did mention the idea that everything you see came from thought, and I've talked about that before, and it's a really powerful idea. If you really look at your world and see it in this way, everything you see, if you look around your room, if you even look at a cell phone, or if you even look at me as a human being, or any human around, I started with a thought in my parents' mind. Now, it might not have been, I want to create life by having a child, but there was a thought of sexual desire. So in that sense, I am the product of thought, as are all of us. This came from thought. This was somebody's idea. Somebody had an idea for this deck. Somebody had an idea for Insight Timer. Somebody had a thought for this. For every single thing you see started with a thought in the mind. Thought is creative. So we're always creating, and those of you that feel stuck and feel not at choice in your life and feel a victim to circumstance, that feel you have no say in it, it's not the actual truth, although that's your perception. Because all of the thoughts we've all have created our experience. And so that's good news, because then, and my live the other day about our words, choosing our words, that's what this is about too. Is changing our mindset, becoming at choice. Changing our words from I should try to do that, I will try, I'm going to try, I shouldn't have, done this, done that, I have to, I need to. All of those are words of disempowerment. So, in a bigger sense, this, what we just heard, is talking about everything comes from thought. Everything in your life is the result of your thought. So the good news is you can choose new thoughts. So we're going to dive a bit deeper in. Hi, friendly pause. If you are just joining, don't forget to follow me here on Insight Timer, give a donation, subscribe to my YouTube, follow me, Facebook, Insta. If you want to set up a personal session with me, check my site, follow your heart, intuition. If you feel a nudge to reach out, honor that. Hi, Monica. So, and if you did miss it earlier, I'm channeling Reiki as we receive this powerful teaching.
Here's where you get hung up. You can accept his son, offspring, likeness, but you recoil at being called his equal. It is too much to accept. Too much bigness, too much wonderment, too much responsibility. For if you are God's equal, that means nothing is being done to you and all things are created by you. There can be no more victims, no more villains, only outcomes of your thought about a thing. I tell you this, all you see in your world is the outcome of your idea about it. Do you want your life to truly take off? Then change your idea about it, about you. Think, speak, and act as the God you are. Of course, this will separate you from many, most of your fellow men. They will call you crazy. They will say you blaspheme. They will eventually have enough of you. They will attempt to crucify you. And they will do this not because they think you are living in a world of your own illusions. Most men are gracious enough to allow you your private entertainments. But because sooner or later others will become attracted to your truth, for the promises it holds for them. Here is where your fellow men will interfere, for here is where you will begin to threaten them. For your simple truth, simply lived, will offer more beauty, more comfort, more peace, more joy, and more love of self and others than anything your earthly fellows could contrive. And that truth adopted would mean the end of their ways. It would mean the end of hatred and fear and bigotry and war. The end of the condemning and killing that has gone on in my name. The end of might is right. The end of purchase through power. The end of loyalty and homage through fear. The end of the world as they know it, and as you have created it thus far. So be ready, kind soul, where you will be vilified and spat upon, called names and deserted, and finally they will accuse you, try you, and condemn you, all in their own ways, from the moment you accept and adopt your holy cause, the realization of self. Why then do it? Because you are no longer concerned with the acceptance or approval of the world. You are no longer satisfied with what that has brought you. You are no longer pleased with what it has given others. You want the pain to stop, the suffering to stop, the illusion to end. You've had enough of this world as it presently is. You seek a newer world. Seek it no longer. Now, call it forth.
Yes, well, can you help me?
Wow. So if you're hearing this either live or in the replay, this is for you. You're ready. It's powerful. It said you are God's equal, meaning your power of creation. And if you've been following this book and this live stream, then you've heard this already. We came here to realize the self, which is that we are God, meaning that creative force and power. And we're in this illusion that we're a victim. We don't have power, we don't have choice, we don't have control. So it's a waking up to that. And it said, once that starts happening, you'll be, others in the outside world will not like that. Will say you're blaspheming or will condemn you. Paul, you asked earlier about, and I love that you brought that piece in, and I love your listening, that you picked that out, because my mind picked that piece out and then it lost it. So earlier in the last passage before this, it said the part about us forgetting who we are, and that forgetting is intentional. Is it referring to past lives? I would agree, yes. And this book does talk about past lives further on. And it's really fun, like the passage about it. It's really funny. So, Lindsay, did I say hello? Jeff, that was really amazing. Yes, welcome. Did I say hi to Friendly Paws as well? I forgot. So, I feel like for some of you, I invite you. So, I do my best to upload my replays onto my YouTube channel within 48 hours. Definitely think to come back and replay these passages. As I've said, it's deep. It's very deep. And you're ready because you're hearing it. And if it does touch stuff within you there where there's resistance, there's an invitation for you to be curious and be an inquiry about why that is. Ooh, awesome. Louise is ready. Yeah. So I will continue the recording.
Better understand how to do that?
Yes. Go first to your highest thought about yourself. Imagine the you that you
I'm going to rewind to the question.
seek it no longer. To stop the suffering, to stop the illusion, to end. You've had enough of this world as it presently is. You seek a newer world. Seek it no longer. Now, call it forth.
Yes, well, can you help me to better understand how to do that?
Yeah.
Don't seek it in the world, call it forth. This is what I've been saying, what I talk about, what I help my clients with, what I talk about a lot in here, what I was just talking about basically this whole session. We're under this illusion that we're disempowered and we're not at choice in the world, and events and things just happen to us, and that's not the truth. So it's saying right there, call it forth, create it. Yeah, Lady Peacock, that's a great, I'm sorry, I'm hot. That's a great point. So yes, if you came in late, Conversations with God. The title of this live stream, I don't know if you can even see it on the screen. And the replays are available. I actually have 3 playlists on my YouTube channel. One is all my live stream, like my general ones. I have a specific playlist of this book, every single replay. So if you want to go back and hear it, also There's Nothing Wrong with You book, I have a specific playlist with all those too. So Lady Peacock, the 12-step program, that's a great point. That's usually in the context of addiction, but not always. The powerlessness, and as you likely know, I've been in AA since I was 17, so 30 years in AA. Yeah. I don't have a clear answer for that in this moment. I feel like that's a juicy rabbit hole that definitely could be explored. And Lindsay, please, and anyone else, don't worry if you're just joining in. There's nothing you've missed. You're here at the perfect moment. Hi, Kiana. Been thinking about you, wondering how everything's going. So he was just saying, create it, you're at choice, and I'm going to continue.
Yes. Go first to your highest thought about yourself. Imagine the you that you would be if you lived that thought every day. Imagine what you would think, do, and say, and how you would respond to what others do and say. Do you see any difference between that projection and what you think, do, and say now?
Yes.
So what he's starting to talk about is now quite familiar spiritual tools and practices that if you're spiritual at all, you've heard it before. About visualizing who you want to be and what you want to create. And then what thoughts, decisions, and actions would that version of you have? So instead of living by default and living as a result of present circumstances, it's about consciously creating yourself. So Joe Dispenza, I was really into him years ago, and his work is very much about this. Abraham Hicks, those sorts of teachers. So here it is again, saying it in its own way, but basically that's what he's starting to say, is living into who you want to become. If you're a person who feels stuck in their life, stuck in their job, stuck in their relationship, those are the dominant thoughts that version of you is having that creates that existence. So you must change the thoughts first and commit to that regardless of how the outside world looks. This is not easy. It's simple, it's not easy, and it's possible if you're committed to creating it. So, hi Laura, glad to see you. Hi Jamie.
Yes, I see a great deal of difference.
Good. You should. Since we know that right now you are not living your highest vision of yourself. Now, having seen the differences between where you are and where you want to be, begin to change. Consciously change your thoughts, words, and actions to match your grandest vision. This will require tremendous mental and physical effort. It will entail constant, moment-to-moment monitoring of your every thought, word, and deed. It will involve continued choice-making, consciously. This whole process is a massive move to consciousness. What you will find out if you undertake this challenge is that you've spent half your life unconscious. That is to say, unaware on a conscious level of what you are choosing in the way of thoughts, words, and deeds until you experience the aftermath of them. Then when you experience these results, you deny that your thoughts, words, and deeds had anything to do with them. This is a call to stop such unconscious living. It is a challenge to which your soul has called you from the beginning of time.
That kind of continual...
Okay, there it is. Are y'all hearing this? Thought, word, and deed. You have been unconscious. It's unconscious versus conscious creation. It said, this is a moment-to-moment, continual recommittal, every moment to creating yourself and changing your thoughts. It's like, I'm sorry. Our mind wants a different answer. The mind is like, nah, that's too hard. How many of you thought that or think that? Michael Singer says the same thing in his own way about, sort of a different topic, but I heard it this morning on the thing I listened to that I shared earlier. And in this Convos with God, later on in the book, he talks more about this because the author says, I've been at this spiritual journey for 20 years, and God in this book challenges him and says, no, you haven't. You've been playing on the edges. Being on this spiritual path means a moment-to-moment conscious commitment in the present moment of monitoring, being aware of your thoughts, so you are conscious, so that you can choose instead of just living by conditioning. It is not easy. It is simple. It is worth it. I was just thinking, okay, here's this version of me. Y'all know that I just had my 11-year expat anniversary, and I did a very vulnerable live stream where I shared about, where I was and where I am and some things along the way. And if I think about, okay, what thoughts what was I thinking 12 years ago, 11 years ago? What decisions was I making compared to what thoughts I'm thinking now, what decisions I'm making now? I am a different person. I'm still, the essence of me still here, and I'm not 100% totally new and different, and also my thoughts are not the same. So this is what's required. And this is the deepest, it's the stuff, if you've been on the spiritual path a while, you've heard it a million times before. So here it is again, another teacher saying the same thing in a different way. Nothing exists but this present moment. Nothing is real. Anything outside this moment is a thought that you're having about something outside this moment. You come back to this moment now. What can I choose now? Jamie, yes, addiction. I mean, and as y'all that know me know, I got clean and sober 25 years ago, and I still remember 25 years ago. I mean, that's why in AA we say one day at a time, and it's just like, you don't even hear that anymore because it's said so often, and it's so true. And it's not even one day. It can be 1 hour. It can be one moment of just not picking up the drink or the drug. And it's the same with our thoughts, because we get addicted to our thinking in the old patterns, and then the body gets addicted to the chemicals that are released. And we all have heard about, the neurons, and they wire together, they fire together. There's these, it's like computer programs in our mind of when I say the word mother, we all have a computer program that's activated, and there's certain thoughts and feelings and then chemical cascades that happen. It might be the most beautiful word in the world for some people. It might be the opposite. So that's the biggest addiction, is our thinking. So this stuff, it's not easy, and it's possible, and it takes a commitment. Like one of my favorite Michael Singer talks is called The Commitment to Staying Conscious. And he talks about this, that the primary purpose of your life gets to be from the moment you wake up till the moment you sleep, that you are conscious and that you are releasing and letting go. When the ego comes up, when things outside hit your stuff, you relax and release. You stay the witness, the present witness and the observer, and hear what Convos with God just said, that you don't just let your thoughts go unconscious, that you have this moment-to-moment consciousness of your thoughts. Jeff, I just read your comment, what I just said, one day, one moment at a time. So I guess you must be in program, which is awesome. Yeah. Amy, so, that's a deeper discussion. And it's like, okay, and Michael Singer even acknowledges this. And as do many teachers, even Eckhart Tolle, I think. It's like the first thought, the moment the change starts, it's much easier to then create consciously, because we get into this cascade of chemicals and responses. It's not just like, it's always possible. It's never not possible. And also, yes, the level of difficulty would be greater to choose consciously. I had this happen this week. There was a thing, and I was very activated. The childhood mother wound was very activated within me. And my mind judges, I didn't do it good enough. I didn't do it right. Like, I let that take over. And then it was all I could do to just try and manage my nervous system. So at that point, it's like, and Joe Dispenza talks about this, and other teachers who talk about like the science and the brain chemistry and epigenetics and neuroscience and all that stuff, nervous system, vagus nerve, somatics. The mind goes offline. We cannot access. So this is the neocortex, the frontal cortex, this part of the brain. is the newest, the most evolved and newest part of the human brain. So this is where all our wonderful creative thought comes in. When, there's an activation, something like that, we go to this basal part of the brain where it's survival. And it literally, this part of the brain goes offline. Not to say that you can't, you still are at choice. We're always at choice. As Viktor Frankl says, you can take everything away from a person except their power to choose their response. So, saying that, also I'm just saying, yes, it can be more difficult when these things occur to bring yourself back. And that's the practice, to learn how to recenter, to regulate, and then to choose again. So what I love about Joe Dispenza and his meditations is it's all about, in meditation, practicing every morning about who do you want to become, what thoughts do you want to think, what actions do you want to take to live into that vision of your future self now, which is what this last Convo with God passage just said. And in meditation, with your eyes closed, you mentally rehearse that, and then you rewire your brain, and then you feel the way of the way that future self feels, and you start practicing that, in the easy space, just in meditation in the moment. Then you bring that out into your day, and you start living that future self, and then things start changing, which is, all stuff. So this is starting to talk about that. Jeff, 11 months sober today. You can't make this shit up. That's amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing. And beautiful that you're hearing this. 11 months sober today. I mean, for me, at 11 months sober, which was, a long time ago, I wouldn't have been ready for this. And that's okay. It's not a judgment. It's just interesting to consider. Lindsay, you've got 8 months. I love when one person shares, it opens space for others. And sometimes I bring up my sobriety, if it comes up. And I always acknowledge I wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't have anything without it. I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. And definitely, if I think back, and maybe those of you that are clean and sober or have made major changes, and even Amy talking about the depression and now feeling better after the divorce, if you look at your thoughts, when you first got sober or before you got sober versus now, you're thinking different thoughts and you're doing different actions. So great. Awesome, Matt. Britt, 81 days. Amazing. Awesome. So the gift is giving you back the gift of the power of choice, even though we get under the illusion that we don't have choice. We do. It's not easy, and it's possible, and it's worth it. And it requires, this commitment. So, awesome live today. We're going to stop there. I'll be live Saturday Night Live coming up. We'll draw cards. I'm going to draw a card right now. Here we go. Card to close out. Work your light deck. Don't dim to fit in. Don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? This goes exactly along with what one of the passages in the book said. Remember, it said when you start living in your power, living at choice, living as a conscious creator, that you will be condemned. And you will be, ostracized and crucified. So here it is. You can't make this shit up. Don't do it. Don't dim to fit in. So look at where are you? Where are you living out of integrity? How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? And how can you stop doing that or do something different? So I will see you all very soon. Don't forget to follow me, catch the replay in YouTube, follow me there, Facebook, Insta, set up a one-on-one with me, reach out, all that good stuff, donate, etc. And I will see you soon for Saturday Night Live. I'm so excited. So excited about just the awakening of humanity right here and now. This is what's happening. I just keep getting that more and more and more. So I am so lucky and blessed. And also, like, I created this. So I can acknowledge myself as a conscious creator to create, being able to share this and transmit this and live into my purpose, which is to speak as my name says. So that's me living into my power. And when we and the book also talks about further on, when we live into who we really are is the best way to help others wake up to who they are. And not, it's not about telling people, oh, you should do this or that, or you're so great, or you're amazing. But when we live into who we are and we be our God self, our empowered self, our sovereign self, that is the thing that helps others awaken, when we remember who we are. So, yes, thank you. Thank you, Britt. Duchess, yeah. And I get to admit there's still a part that isn't owning this journey, and I see my mind wants to make myself wrong for that, so I get to let that go. But yeah, it's a journey to really own and embody, you know, and be responsible for everything, even the good stuff. So thank you. I will see you all soon. Bye bye.